Hello and welcome. My name's Chris Can with Australia's Mining Monthly and Mining Magazine, and we're in Singapore at the Future of Mining Asia. And with me I have Nigar Sultana, who is with Curtin University in Western Australia. Nigar, welcome and thanks so much for spending some time with us. You've done a lot of work around obviously ESG, which is your specialty, but then specifically in the critical mineral space, which has become more and more important. Can you talk us through how that looks compared to how you might address ESG in a more general mining landscape or context?
Thanks, Chris. Before answering your question, I would like to just go a bit backwards. And I would like to just say that there is not a single sector that is not affected by ESG challenges. So it's not unique to critical mineral sector. But if I just give you some examples, like if we're thinking about agriculture or fast fashion industry, the carbon emissions level is way higher than the mining sector. But where it gets a bit higher challenge for mining sector when mining sector is under constant scrutiny, media attention, and the customers or consumers of fast fashion or agriculture, they can directly relate to how those products helping them, whereas for mining, although it's helping the GDPs, they cannot see the direct impact. Only thing they can see is the impact on nature, environment, and people, right? So in that sense, mining has always been under greater ESG scrutiny. And as you know, that we are actually racing for net zero. So that means to transition to clean source energy, we need a lot of critical minerals, which means a lot of more mining. So if I just think about Australia, 80% of our mining sites are unexplored at this stage, and we have a huge reserves of critical mineral. So already the mining sector has a lot of ESG challenges like water management, toxic waste management, tailing management, carbon emissions, of course. But as we move along, doing more and more extraction and diggings, so the challenge is just going to go higher and higher. And some examples in terms of environmental side, as I mentioned, emission is a huge one. And on top of that, biodiversity loss is a big one, and deforestation. And it's not only affecting nature and ecosystem, it's affecting people as well who live in the rural and remote areas. So, most of the mine sites for critical minerals across the world, including sub-Saharan Africa, in Australia and in Asian countries, are where the local and remote and regional communities are. So those communities would be directly impacted in terms of their water access, in terms of the climate change, the natural disasters from climate change. So those are big ESG challenges from environmental side for the mining sector. And if we think about from social side, we are grappling with the challenges with, modern slavery, child labor, forced labor, and human rights violations, right? If I just give you one example from Congo, the cobalt mining in Congo, the cobalt sector, Congo basically producing 70% of the world's supply, right? But those supplies are coming from the hand of like as young as 8 to 9 years old who are just wearing a slipper, a toy-looking helmet, and just a crowbar in hand, and working 16 hours a day just to finding the cobalt for our electrifications. So this is just from one area, but in Asia and in sub-Saharan Africa, there are a lot of artisanal mining. So the human rights violation is a serious issue there. So as we move to the critical mineral sector, a bit more digging, more extracting, more processing, we need to actually manage the issues in the social side, and also about community engagement, working more with community, because the local community who are directly impacted, they have their own interest as well. They want to make sure that they are not adversely impacted health-wise or environment-wise when all those mining happens of critical minerals. And the last thing I want to touch on, from governance side, the geopolitical risk and the lack of diversity. Those two I can think about, and the lack of strategic partnerships and collaborations. Those are our risk from governance side, at country level, at organization level, and for all of us, basically. Yeah.
It's a really good overall snapshot there, and a great point around earning that right to be able to deliver the critical minerals that the world needs. But to do that, obviously, we have to, as an industry, address a lot of those risks. That leads us to the logical, natural question, and the massive question is, how do we go about actually managing that risk and raising the ESG benchmarks so we can deliver those critical minerals?
Yeah, you are spot on, Chris, because we need to think about these big questions now. I know it's very overwhelming for a lot of mining industries, and there are issues with financing and resources and time when you are managing ESG risk. But we need to think about that, and I think the reason we need to think about that because we should learn from our mistakes from the last energy transition. So if you think about the last energy transition, which happened in the 18th century when we moved from wood to fossil fuel, our main focus was on economics of energy transition. So the GDP went double, there are a lot of employment opportunities, our lifestyle changed drastically in terms of affluence, so we were just looking at the economic side, but we completely ignored the impact on environment, the impact on local community, the impact on First Nations people of all those mining processes. So we need to learn from there. And one thing I can say from my research that absolutely necessary if we want to be successful in this transition, the current energy transition, the transition to renewables, would be collaborations and partnership. Collaboration and partnership among mining sector, with each other, collaboration and partnerships with governments, regulators, private and public sectors, financial institutions, and community, and industry and academic institutes, of course, because we need a lot of skills. We need to upskill people who are in the fossil fuel industry at the moment. So upskilling those people, we need to work within universities and academic institute. And when I'm just saying collaboration, the strategic collaboration with country, like-minded country, who are actually very successful in their ESG performance. There are countries in the world that are very successful, and I would like to think Australia is one of them, having a very high ESG standard. So we could learn from those countries. Few things I can give you, just practical examples, what worked for us. The main thing worked for us is having a strict regulatory environment. So government, regulator, they came together and worked together with all the miners, Fortescue, BHP, Rio, and all other miners, and come up with the regulation that would work. So the strict environmental approval process, strict mining process, and most important thing, strict mining planning and mining rehabilitation process. And there are regulations, there are compliance, there is transparency, accountability at governance level. Within the industry, within companies, there are internal governance mechanism to make sure that we follow each and every steps, and external to the company, the governance system around government, state government, that really worked out well for us. So, we can learn from like even China, like what worked there. What worked in China, when they started building their onshore capability, right? In terms of processing and manufacturing and producing the product in their in onshore, is a huge support from government. So government support in infrastructure, government support in technology, government support in finance, and government and private sector working together to make this happen. So if we just take countries as case study, that what worked well in each of the region, we go to European Union, we go to Australia, we go to China, we can actually get few good examples and then say, why can't we implement those and improve our ESG standard? And last thing I want to talk about here is that, there are a lot of countries around the world who are mineral rich, but they simply don't have the capacity, resources, and finance to have proper governance standard and follow proper governance standards. So developed countries, they have a huge obligation here to work on the capacity building of those countries. So when it comes to partnership, it's not only partnership with countries where I can get some benefit from, but partnership with countries where I can help someone out as well, because this energy transition, it's not only for one country. And the climate change only does affect Indonesia, it affects all of us. So, you know, if Australia goes ahead but Indonesia falls behind, it will affect Australia. So in that sense, you know, having that partnership, collaboration, and working together, that's the best thing I can think of.
You're not on your own, Naga. We hear that constantly, almost every second presentation or panel session. Collaboration comes up as not only a key, but it comes as a table stake if we're actually going to make progress. While I have you, it's our first Future of Mining Asia. Can I just ask, how have you found the event so far, and any key takeaways for you that have added value to your thinking?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I must say that, you know, so far I found that all of the sessions and, you know, all of the speakers, everybody was so much more like genuinely wants to help, and you know, the audience is very engaged. The panel session that I ran, I found the audience genuinely wants to learn, and then they want to help each other, and this is the sense of like cooperation I'm seeing here. That's fantastic, and the event has been run so smoothly so far. What I have seen, that you know, your company, your team, you guys have done a fantastic job to bringing us all together, a very multidisciplinary team. There is engineer I'm talking to, there are you know, other technicians, there is mining experts, then there is academics like me. So there are a lot of people from different fields, but we all have the same shared goal, which is to tackle the climate change issue, right? In that sense, I think absolutely a fantastic platform to be together and come up with solutions. And if we don't start with conversation, nothing will move. So that conversation happening here, which is fantastic.
Naga, very kind words. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you.